What's up, everyone, and welcome to another one of my Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn podcast videos. And today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I listened to some of the feedback on my previous few videos, and I heard that some people would like them a little bit shorter, not as long. And I've gotten that from some of my friends as well. They've told me that they're a little bit too long. But I know there's some people out there that do like the longer style videos to listen to. But let me know what you guys think, and you can all battle it out in the comments section over who wants what, and because I'm not really sure right now. So I'm gonna try something a little bit shorter. Try and do a little bit of a summary of certain things, not read too much into things. But we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I don't ramble on too much. Anyway, we got a few things to talk about that came out from I think Thursday or Friday, I believe it was that they updated. I believe it was Thursday. This came out right after my last video. A new video to go over. There's two new videos actually, Duty Finder and then the new trailer, the Tour of Eorzea Part 3. We also have some of the blog section to walk over, as well as a familiar character people might be aware of that I think if you've been keeping up the news with Final Fantasy XIV, you already know what I'm talking about. It's going to be making her appearance in the game eventually. Sooner or later, in some way, shape, or form. But we'll get to that in a bit. I don't have the full story on that, but just the basic gist of what's going on. So we'll cover that when we get to it. We also have a cosplay show off in the later portion of the video after the blog section, as well as an update on the Meteor Survivor t-shirts, and then a closing with a post on the beta forums that I would like to share. Just a little something, nothing crazy, but a little bit of update I like to give. So let's jump right into it and get over to our first topic, which is the blog section, Le Cinéma. So what this blog post is revolving around is the new trailer that's going to be coming out for Final Fantasy XIV in the PAL regions, which I'm assuming, I'm not an expert in this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that's Europe and the UK, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not sure if there's any other regions that fall into that category, but basically the PAL regions, if you're aware of who's included in that, you guys get this trailer. So if I scroll down, you see this freaking amazing looking live action trailer of the Black Mage, like a full Black Mage cosplay that they created from Square Enix. For this actor to wear. It has like a scepter in the hand, like it has the whole, the hat and everything, the cloak, just looks freaking amazing. You can see some of the actors in the background wielding weapons and various clothing from the game. You have like the Battle of Khartoon of Flats from the end of 1.0 with the Battle of the Garlean Empire against the Grand Companies of Eorzea with Dalamud up in the sky. I'm guessing that's what this battle is centered around because there's nothing else in the history of Final Fantasy XIV I can put my finger on that resembles that battle other than that. So I think they're trying to recreate the end of an era trailer right here with them all battling it out. You see Loiswa, that was friggin' perfectly recreated in this old dude here who looks exactly like him. Like the beard looks great. The friggin' elf ears look fantastic. He even has that friggin' douche collar thing that goes around him, that poofy little collar that the Actons usually are known for having. They like perfectly captured that in the costume and the look of the character. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get this trailer in North America too, because this is a badass trailer that I think would really catch people's attention on TV. You see the Makote here as well, wearing the race-specific starting gear with the Limsa Lominsan flag for the Maelstrom. You see the Twin Adder in the background for Gridania, which looks really cool. So another little thing about the trailer is that it took a year and a half to create this thing. That's right, a year and a half it took to put this thing together. That's pretty crazy, man. That's a lot of work for just a trailer or a commercial even. I don't even think trailer is like the proper word I should be using, but for a commercial for TV alone, it's pretty impressive. So I'm really hoping this comes to North America, and if anyone's listening to this, please somehow get it over here because I think it would really help the people over here basically hook onto the lore and reel them in so they can play this game. I mean, that's how World of Warcraft, I think, got a lot of their subscribers. I'm not saying I want them, Final Fantasy to be like World of Warcraft, but I'm just saying as a marketing tactic, I think it's a really good idea to go into the commercial route where people watch TV a lot. They can see this game that maybe don't watch my videos or use the internet as much and know about it. So I think it's good to reach a broad audience, and I think getting a commercial over in North America and using this trailer or commercial would be great. Another little fun fact is that the costumes that are on display here are going to be at this year's Gamescom, which is in Germany. So if you're fortunate to live in Germany or anywhere around that region where you can visit Gamescom, be sure to check it out and post some, take tons of photographs because they're going to have these costumes on display, and they're also going to have some models using the Makote wear and whatnot at the show to display it off. So that is pretty cool. Now, going on to our next section, we're going to be talking about the new trailer that came out, which is the Tour of Eorzea Part 3. Now, for this section, I actually want to go... I actually downloaded the video, so it's easier again, so I don't have to rely on YouTube stuttering or anything. So let's head on over there. Alright, so now we're here with the new Tour of Eorzea Part 3 video that Square Enix released on Thursday, right after I released my last video, which was kind of unfortunate that I couldn't include it in there. But that's alright. So we got Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn. You see the Korthus region finally a little bit more expanded compared to the last several times that we've seen glimpses of it. So that was the new Korthus. Now here is in Leonesaurus. This is the floating city of Nim area, where the ancient city of Nim, which is where the scholars hailed from in the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. So if you're interested in Scholar, they used to come from this city, but now it's in ruins. Like, no one knows what happened to them. Some war went on between them, and they're all just vanished. So if you read up on the promo website under the Scholar section, you'll actually learn about that a little bit more, and as you play the game. So you see the floating... parts of debris holding crystals out of them. Looks really amazing. Like I've been here in beta, and it's like these videos don't do it justice. You really have to go yourself and see it on your own system. It looks great. Here's Ugamoro Mines, which you can't really hear with me talking, but if you watch the video, you can hear the Ugamoro theme playing from the original Final Fantasy XIV. I am so glad that they kept this theme. I was afraid they were going to get rid of it, because this is probably one of my favorite tracks from the original Final Fantasy XIV. So it's back in here again, and now we're heading into the Sahajin area, which is also in Leonesaurus. This is their Beastman stronghold lair, where the Sahajin and Leviathan lie. So you see the Dragoon just running through here, and a bunch of barnacles and glowing coral all over the place. Now this area, Sapsa's spawning grounds, was not in beta. This was blocked off. So if anyone tried exploring over there like I have, you'll notice this area was not available to us. So this is farther back within the stronghold. So I'm guessing there's either story content or some instance content that's not made available yet, so we can't get back there. I don't know. Or it's probably just not ready yet. Whichever. Now we're in the Black Shroud region. We have a White Mage we're following here. Full White Mage AF and the Thyrus on our back, or relic weapon. This is Larkskull. Now, I believe this is also the Sylphlands where this is located. It looks very much like the Sylphlands, if I recall, which is the Sylph Beastman tribe I'm referring to. Now, here's Proud Creek. You see a bunch of players and their chocobos fighting Dullahans, or aka Iron Giants, if you're familiar with them in the original Final Fantasy. And I have one of my friends that's going nuts over Phase 4 right now on my Skype. Sorry about that. Now you see these giant rock golems. Like, look at the size comparison. Just look at this guy here, how fucking big he is compared to the friggin' Dragoon. I mean, it's friggin' humongous. And that one's not even a big one. Like, there's a Fate one that's even bigger than that. Now we move into Thanalan. You can see the Arcanist with her little friend Carbuncle sitting right next to her, which looks really, really good. Looks like they polished Carbuncle up a little bit since I've seen him in beta. Looks like they gave him a little bit more detail on his back and whatnot. It looks great. So you see the Arcanist just moseying along with the little book out, the Grimoire, and Carbuncle following right behind. Now this is the Oasis. This is in Thanalan, where the Great Desert is outside, where you saw Yoshi P in one of the previous live letters running around in the Coeurl. That's what that region is. Now here is a Final Fantasy XII monster that my friend gave me insight into, that they ported into 14. Some sort of bird monster from Final Fantasy XII. Forget the name of it, but I took a few screenshots. Here's a Cerulean processing plant. This is also in Thanalan. Cerulean, if I haven't mentioned it previously, is the power that basically runs Magitech. So Magitech runs off Cerulean. It's the type of fuel that exists in Eorzea, if anyone was curious. So that's a Cerulean plant where they process that. Now, Robin's Push. Robin's the leader of the Grand Company of ul'dah, the Immortal Flame. So this is a Garlean base, actually, in Thanalan. See these Magitech armors right here, Magitech Vanguards they're called, and a couple Garlean soldiers that players are fighting. Now here we see not only Korthus and Ishgard for the first time in video form, you also see the Summoner and the new Titan Eggy that you can see right next to the Summoner. Now here we're entering one of the Camp Dragonhead, which is one of the original level 30 camps in Korthus. You see a Templar Knight over there, which is interesting. Now this whole region is completely changed from the original one. I could just like sit here and like pause the video for a sec, and I'm getting fucking messages from people on my Skype again, so I apologize for that. Oh god, it's always when I'm doing a video. But anyway, this is Camp Dragonhead. I want to actually rewind real quick right here. Now you see this guy, this is the Ishgardian flags on the left and the right, the blue banner. You can't really see it, but it's like an emblem that has a unicorn, a rose, a bell, and like a tower on it, symbolizing, I guess, certain things of the city of Ishgard. Now you see the Templar Knight sitting over there has like the that classic looking medieval faceplate on and stuff. You'll come to notice that the Ishgardians wear a lot of that type of stuff. Actually, in some of my screenshots, I don't know if I've shared them yet, but I will share them in my next video. That I actually have a similar armor set just like that called the Templar armor, which Ishgardian Templar Knights wear, and I'll share that in my next video, which is one of my favorite armors in the game. Now, Camp Dragonhead is actually was in the original 14. But it has changed greatly. It used to be a little camp on a hill. Now it's been turned into this giant fucking fortress and everything. And these fortresses actually were in the original 14. They look very different, but they have the same sort of style. They were these abandoned forts. There was about 4 of them. And they were located in like the 4 corners somewhat, a little bit outside of Ishgard on these hills. And it looks like they transformed them now into an Aetheryte camp or something, which is interesting. But it's basically like a fortress that blocks out enemies and stuff for the Ishgardians to take space in. Now, it reminds me of something out of Game of Thrones, you know? Now, here's Boulder Downs. Now, I'm just going to pause here for a sec. Anybody that played this game like I did at the beginning of 14 knows Boulder Downs. It was basically the first endgame that we had. Before we had content, before we had dungeons, before we had fucking primals or any of this shit, we had grinding. Every day it was grind. Everybody that hit 50 early on knows exactly what I'm talking about. Boulder Downs essentially was this huge, beautiful landscape filled with like raptors all over the place. So if you played 11 and you're familiar with the white raptors with the purple stripes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The ones that breathe fire and shit. Essentially, that's what this region was. And we used to stay out there for hours and hours and hours every single day just grinding mobs for like this ridiculous XP. And basically, that was our end game. That's all we had to do was grind. So Boulder Downs was that area from 1.0 where it was just filled with raptors. Now it's just like, I mean, look at it. It's completely different. You have like a piece of Dalamud that fell out, like that device thing that fell out of Dalamud in the trailer. Now, Nadalon here is the Ixali Beastman encampment. Now, this looks almost identical to 1.0 if you have not played it. If you have played it, this looks almost identical. Like the turn here, the little cliff with the little shacks or whatever those are in the campfire, that it's exactly the same as 1.0. There's even Ixali there and everything. There used to be an Ixali you used to have to kill right by the fire that would drop a key and unlock a coffer that you can get like a special piece of Sentinel tank gear to obtain. Now, of course, it's different looking because there's snow everywhere and whatnot, but this used to be like green grass and mountains in the background, kind of like it is now. But just imagine this like in the spring or summertime, and that's what this area looked like. Now it's completely like a blizzardous zone, and now the Gates of Judgment. This is the entrance to Ishgard. The Gates of Judgment have always been locked and have never opened, not a single time in the entire history of 14. They have always been blocked off, and the only time we've gotten to see Ishgard was from this hill, or this plateau, ways away from it. So it looks like the gate's open. I don't know if there's a second gate or if that's the only one, but it looks like it's wide open right now. Now, Ishgard is not set to open until like the first major patch, which is like version 2.1. 2.0 is technically the launch. 2.1 is the first major patch after launch. So they said, I'm forgetting now. Somebody can remind me in the comments section, but they said sometime after launch. I don't know how long it was. I forgot. But basically, Ishgard would have its own story mode unlocked when it got implemented. and it had this whole campaign against the Ishgardians versus the dragons and the lore that surrounds it. So that's a little bit of a brief history of that. Now we switch to Morgana now with the Scholar and her fairy companion, which looks really, really nice, by the way. I'm loving the fairy. And I love the little quill on the back of the grimoire for the Scholar. It looks really cool. I love the new music for for Korthus and for Morgana. Morgana really did not have a theme. It just had like a sort of like a hum or something. I can't really explain. If you played it, you know what I'm talking about, but this looks kind of like the old Korthus a little bit. Now you can see here, if I pause the video, you notice that this is this looks like the I can't even put my finger on it actually. I think that's the Sleipnir horse, Odin's horse, Sleipnir. I think they turned into a mount. Now, if I rewind the video just a little bit, I think I might have passed him, just to confirm this. And you see a whole bunch of Chocobo variants. You can see the Coeurl mount coming along here. Okay, so the first one you see is a tank-like Chocobo mount. It just has a bunch of plated armor and whatnot. Now this one here, you can see the horse feet. It's modeled after Sleipnir, and it's kind of hard to see in the video, but it does have like a snout like the horse, and the horns just like Odin's horse. So it's basically a Sleipnir armor for your Chocobo. Now this one, you see the Black Mage Chocobo armor, which has the classic beige-looking Black Mage cap, which looks fantastic. I kind of wish they went with that for the original Black Mage instead of all black, but it looks really, really good. It's probably one of my favorite sets. You see, obviously, the Coeurl mount you get for being a Collector's Edition owner or original owner of 1.0. You get it for free. You see the Olden Grand Company Chocobo right there with the single horn. You see the Dragoon Chocobo right here, which looks really, really good. Another one of my favorites. And you see this gangster-looking White Mage Chocobo has a hoodie on, which looks great. Here's the Tangle. This is in Morgana as well, fighting a Marble. But yeah, this region looks very, very nice. This is probably the most dense area for crystals in the entire game. So you'll find a bunch of crystals all over the place. It has the highest concentration of Aether in all the realm. Now here's Castrum Sentry. This looks like it's in Morgana as well, but they have Castrum Novum, which was also in 1.0, which was the first Imperial base ever implemented into the game, which was located in Morgana. So it looks like they have either this one replacing it, or they have two Imperial bases now. I'm not sure which. Now we close on here. We see all the adventurers approaching the Behemoth, which is the first time you get to really see him in-game, who will be a Fate monster in Final Fantasy XIV, located in the Korthus region. Alright, so the next section we're going to talk about is the other trailer that was released for the Duty Finder. Now, I'm not going to read any of this, but I'm going to have the link to this video so you guys can watch it yourself. Yoshi P and Foxconn will actually walk you through this and teach you all you need to know about the Duty Finder if you've not got to use it in beta yet, or if you have not had access to beta yet. So this will give you a rundown on basically what to expect. Now, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do my own little take on it, okay? So alright, so for this part, I'm going to actually walk you through my own screenshots that I've taken of the Duty Finder section. So basically, just the simple gist of it, if you either already watched the video or just want to hear my take on it, I'm going to go through a simple summary of it. Basically, when you pull up the Duty Finder, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the screenshot, I'll zoom in if I can. Let's see if it's okay. Here is the micro menu, okay? If you're on PS3, I don't think you have this, but if you're on PC, you do. I'm sure you can find it on the PS3 version, but for me, I'm a gamepad user on PC, so we get the micro menu. Now, you see this little magnifying glass. You click on that, and when you click that thing, this pops up, okay? So it has all. If you notice here, it says all located. So basically, it shows Guildhast available, it shows dungeons available, and then it shows the trials, which are beastmen, or not beastmen, I'm sorry, primals and boss battles and whatnot. So right here it shows the Bowl of Embers for, or Bowl of Embers, I'm sorry, the Bowl of Embers for, or Bowl, I don't know how to pronounce it, Bowl of Embers I think it's called, or something, correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially it's Ifrit's level 30 fight that you get to do in the story mode. So it's a bit cut off here, so I'll go to the next image. You can see dungeons. So here's Sestacia, Tamtara Deepcroft, Copperbell Mines, Halatali, and Brayflox's Longstop are all unlocked for me. It shows according to the levels that you get them at and what they're required to be for level sync. and then it shows the ones that are locked. The lock icons means I have not been there yet. As soon as they're unlocked or I talk to the NPC out the dungeon, they basically become unlocked for you to go to. So the first icon here, you see this little dungeon looking entrance. Those are dungeons. Okay, the scroll is for guild tests, and then the mean looking monster face is for primals, for boss battles. And then join party in progress is essentially, let's say someone is a white mage, and let's say they lag out by accident, and they lose power in their house, and they can't play anymore. Join party in progress essentially is for you to find a party that lost a member or two, and it syncs you up midway through a fight or a dungeon, and you get to jump right in and fill in their spot. The J, E, D, and F is basically if you want to search for people that are hosting games that are Japanese, German, or French. And then English, because I'm English speaking, it's for English players, but you get to highlight. The underline means that's what you are, and then if you highlight the others, that shows what you are also looking for. I'm a level 50 black mage here, it shows off. So that means when I select something, that's what I'm going to join the party as. If I select tank, like a paladin or a warrior, I'm going to get synced up for that when I'm putting my registration in. If I don't want to go as that, I have to unsubscribe from the duty list and then sign up again and switch to that class and be on that class when I register for you to go in. Now, while you're waiting, you can actually do anything you want. You could do quests, you can talk to people, you can craft and gather, you can do whatever you want. But as soon as you get filled up in a party, a pop-up appears asking if you're ready, so you have to switch back to your class that you signed up on, and then you get teleported right away. The cool thing is, with the exception of primal fights, because I don't know if that's a bug or if that's intentional, but any other fight, whether it's a guild test or a dungeon or something, basically, as soon as you finish it, no matter where you are in the world, you'll get automatically teleported right back to where you left off as soon as you finish the dungeon, or if you fail. Of course, if you fail, you're going to be dead on the floor unless you run out of time and you're still alive. That's a different story. And then you have to return anyway, but that's a basic gist of how the duty finder works. Now, I'm going to have the link in the description for the video. They'll go over it more since I can't show video content. But if you have any questions, be sure to let me know and I can help you out with it. But so far, from me testing it, I did at least, I'd say I've done at least 10 or so runs of Ifrit, just back to back, playing around and stuff. And then I did one run of Brave Flox's Long Stop. So it works great. It's fantastic, the Duty Finder. I think it's awesome. A really great addition if you don't have time to play, or if you don't have any friends on the game, or you want to maybe make friends. Now, there's some discussions going on in the forums whether they want priority on server first to keep the community together, and then have like a secondary search for people outside your server. I think that would be a good idea, so it builds community with people on your fellow server. But it's just an idea that people brought up on the forums. So that's going to wrap up this section, and now we're going to get back to the next blog. Alright, so the next blog topic we're going to go over is called Like Hell and... highlighting. So, this is basically... I'm not going to read it all, I'm just going to give a basic summary of it. This is showing that Lightning is now coming to Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I don't want to freak anybody out, because I know how much people lose their shit over Lightning in Final Fantasy XIII. I just want to get out front, right out the box, that I enjoyed Final Fantasy XIII. I enjoyed Final Fantasy XIII too. Even though I understood both their stories, I thought they were poorly written, and I did not like the characters. I thought they were poorly written and developed, with the exception of Saz and Fang. Those were probably my two favorite characters out of that game. But overall, I enjoyed the games. I liked them. They were fun. I just didn't like the stories of the characters overall. So that's why I think it's a poor representation of not only the Final Fantasy franchise, but I also think that it's probably one of the weakest representations of Final Fantasy, and my least favorite. But I still enjoyed them. I didn't hate them. I don't hate on them. But I do recognize their flaws. But they're fun games. I like them. So I just wanted to get that out of the way for people that were curious on my take on it. So with that being said, for people that aren't happy about it, I completely 100% understand why you don't like this news. Now, you're probably saying, well, what's the deal? She's in 14 now? Is she a main character? Okay. I don't know the full story, okay? All I know from what I've heard and read so far is that somehow she comes through the void or something. I've read on the forums. I don't know if this is just like speculation or if this is where they heard something from someone official, but apparently she comes into the game some way, somehow, through like the void or some other means, and she has one event quest. So she's a special character that appears for this one particular quest. It's like a little fan service thing. So think of it kind of like Sid, how Sid appears in a lot of games, but he intakes different forms and personalities and whatnot. And same thing with like Gilgamesh and other various characters like Kate Sith or whatnot. I look at Lightning as the same way. Now, I'm not a big fan of Lightning, but there's people out there that actually do really like her and like 13, and that's perfectly fine for them. The only thing I ask is that they don't ruin the lore and they don't have the lore like breaking because of throwing her in the game with like her exact costume wear and look. I think it is cool that they are implementing her weapons and costumes for like pre-existing characters to wear. I think that's a pretty cool idea. I don't know if it's going to clash with the art style of the other character and model designers or whatnot, but I think it works out pretty well. I think it's believable. I think actually the trench coat for male characters looks freaking great, and the head cap or the beanie from Snow. I think that looks really cool for like a male character. I would actually like to get that for my own character. And then females get access to Lightning's costume. So let me dial it back a bit because I know I probably twisted some people's heads around. They're like spinning, like what the hell's going on? For people that understand the whole story, you can fill them in the comments or correct me if I miss anything. But basically, for people that are out of the loop, here's the story. Okay. Basically, you're probably asking yourself, why are they throwing Lightning out of all characters into 14? I don't like that idea. Why are they doing that? Here's the reason why. Okay. At sorry, my friend's messaging me again. Basically, at E3, and I'll pull it up for a sec here. This was the first image that they showed off during the E3 live stream. Okay, now you probably remember this if you were watching the Square Enix Presents YouTube stream of what was going on. So what happened was Yoshi P and Foxclown were on the live stream. And I believe this was the Japanese version on day one or something. Now, Yoshinori Katase, who's like the director, producer, whatnot of Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns, and what happened was he showed up on the stream, and he was like, "Oh, Yoshida, look at this." And he just showed it up randomly out of the live stream, and it was Lightning wearing a Makote costume with the tail and the ears and everything from Final Fantasy XIV. And Yoshida didn't know anything about this, so maybe he thought like, oh, like what is this doing in my game? You had no permission. Like this is preposterous or something. And instead, like Yoshi P actually reacted positively. He said, "Oh, this is a pretty cool idea. That's neat that you're showing support for our game, putting it in yours. That's a pretty cool thing." So that was a nice gesture. So Yoshi P said on camera, basically, well, I have to think of something to do for Lightning Returns in Final Fantasy XIV. I'll come up with something. He was joking around, like putting Lightning in the game or something like that. And sure enough, one thing led to another, and here she is. So basically, it wasn't a market tactic as far as I know. It wasn't anything like negative or conspiracy or anything like that. Basically, it was just two game developers or producer directors doing just friendly gestures between one another, sharing their characters and costumes between one another. So Yoshinori Katase snuck in the Makote costume for Lightning in Lightning Returns, and then in return, Yoshi P decided, you know what, I'll do in return, I'll put Lightning some way in my game, and I'll include all her costumes and stuff, and Snow's costumes for male and female characters, and even weapons too that they can use, like special event weapons or something. Now, if you notice in this screenshot, you see the Moogle. I'll zoom in a bit. You can see the Moogle from Final Fantasy XIV using the staff that Mog used in Final Fantasy XIII too, the Time Staff. So I'm wondering if this Moogle is like a minion that can follow you around or something. I don't know. That would be friggin' cool to have like a Moogle companion follow you around. So yeah, just interesting little things right there. So for me, if people are happy with it that like Lightning and Final Fantasy 13, then that's good for them. And you know, it's a fan service title, really. It's Final Fantasy 14 has its own story. It has its own world. It has its own monsters and stuff and characters and music and everything. But it has a lot of fan service in it as well. So this is just like Magitech armor and limit breaks and Buster Swords and Omni Slash and all that stuff. So it makes me wonder, can Cloud and Sephiroth some way find their way in the game? I don't know. people probably wouldn't be happy with that, but then there would be people that would be. All I have to say is, like, Kingdom Hearts did it too, even though it's not a Final Fantasy game technically. It does share a lot of the Final Fantasy VII characters in those games, and they fit them in some way to make it somewhat believable. I mean, I haven't played those games exactly, so I don't know exactly how it works, per se. But as long as they can do it in a way that does not break the lore, fits in well, and is believable in some way, shape, or form, and it's only a small little event. She doesn't go into the main story. It's like a little side project thing that goes into the game for players. So I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know if she's gonna be like a pre-order bonus for Lightning Returns, or if she's gonna be just in the game for everyone. I don't know how that's gonna exactly factor in, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. So I just wanted to cover that section and get that out of the way. So the next one we go on to is the most recent one, which is called Exposition. Now this is the summary of the recent Japan Expo that's gone on in Paris recently, with Yoshi P going on tour again in France to promote Final Fantasy XIV. And you can see this huge crowd of people just gathered around the stage that Yoshida's on. It's like they did a character creation walkthrough and a basic gist of the game and stuff like that. Here's Yoshi P with his own, I don't even know what this is, towel or something. And you just see a signing session of people coming up and getting their things signed. And this guy got his Moogle signed, which is pretty cool. So Yoshi P signed the Moogle, the little Koopa Kopo doll. And here he is again with the little Chocobo plushie pillow thingy. So that's what's been going on recently with Yoshi P. He's been in France promoting the game and stuff, doing stage shows, which is getting a lot of views and a lot of freaking audience members, which is amazing. Like, those people in France really go nuts for Final Fantasy and 14, so that's really cool. Alright, so that wraps up the blog section. Now I want to do a little bit of a shout out that DualShockers, Abriel, on the forums that people know him as, has covered one of the cosplayers in the community that recently finished a Dragoon artifact armor cosplay, which looks freaking amazing. Now, you may remember this cosplayer that used to do, or that has done in the past, the Black Mage and White Mage cosplay with her sister, which also is really, really amazing. Probably one of the best Final Fantasy XIV cosplayers out there right now, because there's not very many of them. But just a basic preview of some of her work. I'll have the link in my description so you can check out her DeviantArt channel and whatnot and subscribe to her, because she definitely deserves your views and your support for what she does for the community in representing 14 and being one of the very few cosplayers out there willing to cosplay from it and show their love for the game and representing. So that's really awesome, especially since Dragoon is one of my favorite jobs. Like, they did a great job with the Gabolg and the Dragoon artifact armor. It's really, really good. And this is probably my favorite shot out of the batch. You get a nice close-up look of the Gabolg and the paint job that they did on it. It's friggin' amazing. So I just want to do a little bit of a shout out, because I think cosplayers, especially for the game that I cover primarily on here, deserve some highlights if I believe they don't get enough of it. So special thanks not only to her and her sister for their cosplays, but also to Abriel on DualShockers for covering this and doing a really good job of covering the game overall recently. So just wanted to throw that out there for people that weren't aware of that. Now, to also segue into another DualShockers article by Abriel is the Final Fantasy XIV's Meteor Survivor polo shirt, which you can see here. People that played Ifrit and beat him were able to win one of those. Now, they say here from Okipweet on the forums is quoted by saying, "As was abundantly clear to us at this year's E3, there are plenty of people who'd like their own Meteor Survivor Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn polo shirt. Currently, we're looking into making them purchasable at events in the future so that more players can get their hands on this rare body piece." So, it's not going to be on their Square Enix store just yet, but basically the only way you can still get them is at a convention. So, if you're at Gamescom this year, be sure to check those out if you're able to get one of those. So I just wanted to give another shout out to that for people that were interested. So hopefully they can put them on the Square Enix store for people to purchase. But until then, they're going to be on sale at the convention. So Gamescom is coming up, so stay tuned for there. I would love to get one myself, but obviously I can't make it to a lot of these conventions because of time and money and stuff like that. But if any of you guys can manage to snag any, be sure to go over there and get one if you can. Alright, so the last thing I want to cover today on this video is the Yoshi's answer regarding individual limit breaks. Now, a friend of mine linked me to an article that I saw with a post regarding individual limit breaks and some changes to the current battle system that could maybe benefit players overall. Now, the deal was like level 1 limit breaks or maybe level 2s could be initiated by a single player instead of being shared by the party. And then maybe like the higher level ones could be party shared. So they brought up this notion of you have your own individual limit breaks like the characters in Final Fantasy VII, and maybe you can go from there and find out if you can implement that into the game. So at the Japan Expo, which like we just mentioned in Paris, France, where Yoshi P was attending the game, an interviewer came up and asked him this question. And they said about the limit break system. The thing is that players are a bit disappointed with it. Some players are selfish and just press the button whenever it's available, and they'd rather have some individual limit break and group limit break that they can use in a very important situations. That would make things fair for everyone. And Yoshida responded by saying, actually, I have no intention to introduce individual limit breaks because that's no different from another weapon skill apart from flashier effects. I don't think there's a problem for people to press the limit break up to level 50. We specially designed it so you can just go ahead and press it. It doesn't have to be necessary to use limit breaks. However, in more difficult battles, you will have to consider when to use them. Which one to use, which level, which action, and that's going to come up with when we introduce the endgame content. From level 50 onwards, we'll have to make sure you use them at the right time, but before level 50, just try your own limit break and see what kind of effect it has. Alright, so obviously some people aren't really happy with this, but I do understand what Yoshida's saying, and I understand some of the points that he's making in regards like what he has planned for endgame and the future of this game. So we just basically have to wait and see what he has in store. Maybe he knows what he's talking about. Maybe he wants anybody just to launch them before level 50 because it's like leveling up content, but maybe he means when level 50 comes around, you have to really work as a team to figure out what limit breaks you want to use and which ones you don't want to use. So I'm not saying the individual limit breaks is a bad idea. I actually think it would be pretty cool. But I want to give a special shout out to my friend Sirocco, who came up with this really interesting idea that actually inspired me. And I didn't even think of this beforehand necessarily, but we were talking about like each job or class having their own unique limit break. So like the Dragoon would have like a spiraling dragon fire looking limit break where like maybe he jumps into the air and he comes soaring down from the heavens above, and the spiraling flames form into like a dragon or something, and the dragon like opens its mouth and like chomps on the freaking enemy and explodes, and that's like the limit break. Maybe like you can make each individual job have their own. Now I understand why they made all the DDs use like the Omni Slash and all the same limit break animations. And the same thing with the Bard and the White Mage using the same recovery limit break, and the tanks using the same barrier limit break. I think they did that in the interest of time. They didn't really have enough time to spend doing each individual animation and stats and effects and all that stuff for each job regarding the limit break system. But I would really hope somewhere down the line they find out how to upgrade the system and make it more unique per class and job. So each job and class has their own unique one. Like maybe for Monk, they have like a Simian Thrash. Since it's out of the game right now, they don't have it like in 1.0. Maybe there's a Simian Thrash limit break where it's like a level 2 or 3 where you just see a flurry of fucking hits go flying off the enemy and just like one huge explosion at the end. Kind of like Tifa's in Final Fantasy VII. Or something like that. You know, like be creative, make your own unique limit break so each job has their own unique ability. I honestly, if I thought it out and brainstormed a bit with somebody or a couple people, I'm sure we could have come up with like the perfect system. So if there's no, I haven't really been checking the beta forums too much lately because I've been pretty busy, but if there's any threads that are like that supporting that idea, I highly recommend checking them out and supporting them, because I think a lot of people, like a lot of my friends have been saying, they love that idea. They really want to see that in the game. And I would love to see it too, as a matter of fact. So that's actually my buddy Sirocco's idea. It was on one of my previous videos. So I wanted to give a special shout out to him for coming up with that idea, really, and really going off the concept that I initially had, but him really going and expanding upon it and motivating me about it to get the word out there. So, let me know what you guys think, and maybe we can work something out. So, Anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. Hopefully I didn't make it too long. I had to get in a couple words, and the video kind of took up a little bit of time itself, but hopefully I cut this down a little bit more so than previous videos, but I guess we'll see in the editing room how long this video took to make. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it entertaining and informative. Hopefully I didn't piss anybody off in this video like I've done in some of the previous ones. So yeah, hopefully I can see you guys in game. If you haven't been following me yet, if you want to, some people I've noticed have followed my page and have found out about my Lodestone account. So don't be afraid to hit me up a message. Check us out on our Guildworks site if you want to join us or hang out and stuff and chit chat. Join our Mumble and talk with us. So we're always free and open whenever. Just give me a message or something, or find me on Skype or whatever. So you know, message me, private message me, do whatever you feel is most comfortable. Don't be shy. I'm always here on my computer all the time. So, yeah, so that's going to wrap up this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy, guys.